Inazuma 11 Go. It's quite divisive, I think. A lot of people say, oh, Inazuma 11 Go is fantastic, Chrono Stones is the greatest series of all time. And then others look at it and go, compared to the original trilogy, I'm not feeling it. I kind of fall in the middle. I really like some parts and dislike quite a few others, but today we're continuing our anniversary celebration of Inazuma 11, and I'm going to go over 5 things I love about Go and 5 things I hate about it. Again, massive credit to JWits for the format of this, and let's dive straight into the video. Obviously, if you disagree with any of my takes, please let me know down in the comments below. But alright, the first thing I love about the Inazuma 11 Go trilogy is the introduction of Mixi Maxing. Now, I'm kind of less keen when it comes to Mixi Maxing 2 already established players together. Like, for instance, if I was to Mixi Max Victor and Ricardo, I'm not too bothered. What I love, though, is Mixi Maxing to a historical figure with an already established player. The whole Ultimate 11 Chrono Storm stuff, I absolutely dig. And the best matches, generally, I think are just designed really well. There's some really standout ones. I actually really like Tezcat Arian's Mixi Max. And I really love the way they implement it into Go Galaxy gameplay-wise, where every player can just kind of be Mixi Maxed for the entire match. Obviously, one thing I'm not too keen on is how it kind of breaks in Inazuma 11 Go 2, but that's besides the point. As a concept, I really love it. But speaking of new mechanics to Go, I do hate fighting spirits. And that's mostly for me just because I think they broke matches. The introduction of fighting spirits makes playing Inazuma 11 so much less fun when it kind of boils down to, alright, use the fighting spirit on this player. Now this player is the player I'm going to only shoot with. Oh, he's using a fighting spirit move. I can't stop that with my goalkeeper unless I summon their fighting spirit. But then I can only really block 3 shots at once with my FSP, and then the actual moves that, you know, the foundation of Inazuma 11 set up in the original trilogy, those don't matter anymore because he's just going to use Lancelot lunge on me. And you know what? There's not really any fighting spirit Hisatsuz I actually like. I'm sure if you'd have pushed me, I could think of 1 or 2, but I just think they're kind of boring. And Fighting Spirit Fusion, or whatever it is, you know, the thing that makes Griffin and King Arthur, that was such a cool idea laid out in 1, but they just never expand upon it. All in all, I just think Fighting Spirits are insanely disappointing. And dare I say the games would be better off without them? Now, in the previous video about the original trilogy and what I love and hate about that, I spoke about Inazuma 11 2 and its road trip elements, and how for me that was actually quite educational. And the exact same thing applies to Inazuma 11 Go 2 Chrono Stones, and that's why I really love the fact you're visiting all different eras. For me, this fueled my love of learning and made me actually go out and try to learn more about each era, and now I have a genuine interest in people like Okita. As a Brit, obviously it's cool to see King Arthur represented, and as an avid Pokemon Conquest player, it's also quite nice to learn more about Nobunaga. Obviously these aren't the most historically accurate version of these characters, but what it does inspire is the genuine curiosity in me to go out and learn some more. And so that I absolutely love in these games, and I wish they would do it more. And so yeah, I really loved exploring every era. One thing I wish I loved more about the Go trilogy though is the match system. I think it's really hard to put a finger on exactly what's changed about matches in Inazuma 11 from the original trilogy to the Go trilogy, but there's just something about them. I think it's the fact that the emphasis is put on special moves, on spectacle, on fighting spirits, Mixi Maxes, all that kind of stuff, rather than the focus being on the football like it felt it was in the original trilogy. I love the fact that in the original trilogy you can cheese goals by just having your forward run around the keeper. In Go, everything feels so built around the mechanics. You have to use fighting spirits to score, and so then things like Pronto Pass become a thing. Skills become so much more important. I don't know, it's just so much more boring and formulaic to me. I will always have so much more fun playing Inazuma 11 2 than playing Go 2, just purely from a match perspective. Putting the gameplay aside though, one thing I really love about the Go trilogy is in Galaxy, the Earth 11. The Earth 11 are really divisive just because they are a bunch of new characters and not just Inazuma Japan with like Bylong leading the line or whatever. But I think the Earth 11 were a really interesting new direction to go in, and they introduced a bunch of faces who are honestly among my favorites of all time in Inazuma 11. Frank, Terry, Falco, Buddy. I absolutely adore the idea of a bunch of people who are really skilled in other areas trying to apply those skills to to football, and it just works. I don't know. I just find them really entertaining to watch and really entertaining to play as. I like their special moves. I like their individual storylines. There's just a lot to love for me here. The only thing about the Earth 11 I don't love is JP. And maybe it's a bit harsh to put JP as one thing I hate about the Go trilogy, but he is my least favorite character of all time, so it feels right to talk about him. For me, JP is like the black storm cloud that looms over Inazuma 11 Go, just causing thunder and lightning wherever he goes, ruining everyone's day. Maybe again, that's a bit harsh, but let me explain myself. It really does feel like the writers wrote, and I know a writer can't just write their own OC, because obviously all the characters they created, but whatever, it feels like they wrote their own OC just so he could be besties with the main character and kind of get by, and just, he's in Earth 11 just because. It's JP. It's my self-insert fanfic character. Gotta get JP in there. He doesn't have a soul, which is like the whole basis for being on Earth 11. He can just sneak on board and everyone accepts him and loves him because he's JP. I don't know why, it just really irritates me. I also just find his personality to be quite grating. I don't like any of his moves particularly. I kind of like the whole defender to goalkeeper transition. I think that's kind of a cool idea, but I don't know, it just doesn't work for me with JP. The dude's 3 feet tall. Am I supposed to believe he'd actually be a good goalkeeper? Over like Sam and Terry? I hate his attitude, I hate his dialogue, I don't like his moves. I'm not keen on his fighting spirit. I just don't like the guy. What I do like though is what Go does with the original trilogy characters. I love seeing everyone's adult versions. I love the fact that Axel Blaze becomes a villain. I think that's awesome, even though he wasn't a villain or whatever. But I still love it. I love seeing Xavier and Jordan become fathers to a young child. I love Mark becoming the coach. I love Kevin becoming a professional player in Italy. It's totally my headcanon he joins Inter Milan, by the way. I love Hillman becoming president or whatever, I guess. And finally, I love Inazuma Legend Japan. I just think it's so cool. Seeing David Sanford become a defender was, I don't know, some kind of awakening in me. What I don't love though is how long the Inazuma 11 Go seasons are. Bloody hell, Go 1 is 47 episodes, Chrono Stones is 51 episodes, and Galaxy is 43. Compare this to the original series where 1 was only like 26. I know 3 is really long, but 3 felt like it earned it. Go 1 does not earn being 47 episodes. It makes them incredibly intimidating to rewatch, and I'll be honest, I haven't, just because I don't want to sit through 47 episodes. I don't think the pacing's good enough to earn 47 episodes, and this is a criticism I'm going to repeat later on in the video, but God, the story of Inazuma 11 is not the most interesting part. We do not need that long of an anime for a bunch of cool football matches. The final thing though that I do love about the Go trilogy, and this is another divisive one, it's Palpacking. Yes, I know Palpacking is the devil because it made you play against that one team 13 times. I agree, I'm not particularly keen on the random item drops. But outside of that, I love Palpacking as an idea. I think it's such a cool concept. I love the idea of having to earn a transfer. I love the idea of a certain player, you getting pieces of context about that player from the different items you have to gather. I love some of the quests it sends you on. I love the idea of having to play a certain team in order to get an item to unlock another player. Yes, I wish the item drops 100% guaranteed, but sure, whatever, I can cope. I'm not mad that Palpacking looks like it will return in some form in Victory Road through their Bond Alley or whatever it is, because I think the idea has genuine merit and is genuinely really cool. It just needs a little bit of fine-tuning. Finally though, the 5th thing that I hate about the Go trilogy is the emphasis on the story. Maybe this is a divisive take, I don't know, but Inazuma 11 does not have a good story. Like, at all. The story is not the most interesting part of this franchise. That would be the dragons. And what I really hate is when the story gets in the way of the gameplay. Specifically, I'm talking about story missions in Go 1, where you spend so long having to bring the ball to Arian, or tackle bloody, I don't know, that one enemy, or don't score a goal, or whatever the hell. I don't like it. It gets in the way of having fun. And then in Chrono Stones, how the final match all of the cool players that you've scouted with Palpacking and trained up, you have to disregard because you have to use Chrono Storm. Yes, it makes sense why you have to use Chrono Storm because they're the ultimate 11 or whatever, but why is the story of the game that I'm playing, which is about building my own super football team, stopping me from playing the super football team that I've spent hours creating? What, so I can play Saw and JP instead? It removes some of the customization options that I feel like Inazuma 11 is built on. And maybe that comes from me having a wrong perspective on the series, and maybe I should just, I don't know, like get over it. But this, it's just how I feel. For me, Inazuma 11 will always be about team building first and foremost, and obviously cool dragons. So I hate when the game says, nah, all that team building you've been doing, it was for nothing. But anyway, those are my takes. That's 5 things I love and 5 things I hate about the Inazuma 11 Go trilogy. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, and please let me know what you both love and hate about the trilogy as well. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.